Thomas Green here with Ethical Marketing Service. On the episode today, we have Katharine Giovanni. Katharine, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is very much my pleasure. Would you like to take a moment and tell the audience a bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure, I do a lot of things actually. I'm an author of 12 books. Some are business, some are inspirational. I'm also one of the original founders of the independent concierge industry, but I retired from that in 2020. And now I'm discussing my latest book on forgiveness. So I'm also a forgiveness coach.
It's a very interesting topic, and it's not something that I've actually talked about on the podcast today. So, if you don't mind me asking, what got you interested in that topic?
Well, first of all, before I tell you that, everybody who's listening, and probably you as well, on a 10 scale, with 10 being a dumpster fire, unforgivable, and 1 being really easy, everybody on the planet, when they see the word forgiveness, they're thinking of their number 10 person. Every single one. That's why nobody wants to talk about it, because you're thinking of that dumpster fire who really hurts you really badly. So, people think about forgiveness and it's like, well, I don't want to. Of course you don't. They hurt you. So I'm here to teach people how to forgive. And in my world, you don't even have to start with the number 10s. You don't have to forgive them at all. But I got interested in forgiveness. I come from a pretty dysfunctional family, tried to commit suicide in the eighth grade and spent the next 15 years becoming one of those kids. You know who I'm talking about, draped in black, one friend, that kind of thing. But I kind of bobbled through life until my mother finally got sober because she fell down a flight of stairs, broke her hip, ended up in the hospital, and even my mother couldn't get a gin and tonic in the hospital. So she dried out, and we took her to rehab. And once she did that, I decided to tame my demons, and I quit drinking too. I've been sober for 34 years. But back in those early days, you have to make amends. You have to do your steps. You have to forgive people. Okay, I am an extroverted introvert and I was born shy. I have no desire back then to reach out to anybody, so that bothered me. But they all said to me, well, forgive. Nobody taught me how. Happy to do it. How? Nobody tells you. So I kind of stumbled along and I found myself, got married, blah, 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 all those things, had kids, blah, blah, blah. But I stumbled into the independent concierge industry and I am a customer service trainer by trade, obviously. So I legitimately, Thomas, can't teach you to be warm, friendly, and approachable if you're angry inside, because the anger is going to bleed through your body language, whether you want it to or not. And unless you're a top-notch Oscar-winning actor, you're not going to be able to control it. So I had to find a way to get people to lose their anger when they're on the job and they can't leave their desk. And that's how I got into forgiveness. And 20 years later, I have discovered the secret sauce behind forgiveness that nobody else seems to have discovered.
Well, am I allowed to ask about the secret sauce?
Sure, it's energy. You know why you forgive somebody? I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said, I have forgiven them. And, they're spitting out the name, so let's give it another go, shall we? I don't think you're done yet. But what they haven't forgiven is the energy around the person. Einstein correctly proved that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just transforms into something else. So when you get angry, you think it leaves your mouth and dissipates into the clouds. Sadly, it does not. It hangs around your energy field. So if you forgive somebody, that's great. But the energy is not going to really move until you actually forgive the energy as well. So you forgive the person and the energy around the person. Now, let me be clear. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. I probably don't. And you don't have to tell anybody. That just took a whole bunch of stress out of a lot of people who are listening. You don't have to, forgiveness is selfish. You do it for you. You don't have to reach out to them at all. And it doesn't matter if they've already passed away because you're doing it for you. It doesn't matter where they are or not. It doesn't matter. You could forgive anybody, alive or dead, right? And forgiveness, the definition of forgiveness for me, the formal definition that I use all the time is I want you out of my head. Bottom line, that's what I want. You're living rent free in my head, and I want you out. Now, the person you're mad at is probably perfectly happy. They're going out, they're going out to the pubs, they're conducting their life. They're not thinking about you at all. That irritates you, doesn't it? But it irritates everybody. So you forgive for me because you're the prisoner. I want you out of my life. So when I see you again, my emotions are neutralized. Now, another thing people say is, oh, Thomas, forgive and forget. Okay. No, I think there might be one unicorn person on the planet that's able to forget, but I have yet to meet that person. So using my system and my method, it will allow that memory to be neutralized. You're not going to feel great about it. You're not going to feel bad. You're literally not going to care. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for neutrality.
A great answer. I love it. Um, since we arranged our conversation, for whatever reason, I started to notice, let's say, communication on the internet around this topic. And one of the objections that I saw from someone was around moral responsibility, meaning someone did this thing to me. If I forgive them, it means they don't have any responsibility for what they did. What are your thoughts around that particular comment or perspective?
If you forgive somebody, it doesn't mean they were correct, and it doesn't mean that you acknowledge, okay, you were right and I was wrong. Absolutely not. They're still wrong. They're still horrible, and they're still a dumpster fire. Forgiveness means you want to be free. Let me give you a visual. And if you're listening to the broadcast on, you're just listening, hop over to YouTube and watch the visual that I'm about to show. I'm holding a opaque coffee cup in front of me. Now, for the moment, I can keep the coffee cup over to the side, and this could be resentment, this can be anger, this could be all those horrible things, right? Bitterness. Well, when I first get angry, look at my body language. You and I are talking. We can go out for a drink. We can, I can go to my job. I can conduct my life. The longer I hold on to anger and bitterness, the more it's going to hurt. Now, look at my body language. Now it's taking two hands to hold up the cup. Now, look, I mean, you and I could still have a conversation, but it's the anger is starting to creep into my life, isn't it? Because it's starting to hurt. So I'm starting to notice it more. I'm starting to pay attention to it more. And if it continues, now look at my body language. The cup is in front of my face. My arms are both engaged. It's painful. You and I can't talk. And if I do talk to you, it's going to be all about what happened to me. I'm going to be hyper focused on it. I'm going to tell stories about it. So of course my friends are decreased because who wants to be around me? I'm negative, sick, and I'm angry all the time. So by forgiving people, you're allowing yourself to put down the cup and to put down the anger. So now look at my body language. Now I can live my life. And that's what this is. I'm not acknowledging that the person who hurt me is right. They're not. They're still wrong. They're still dark. They're still awful. I'm the one who's free. I could care less about the person. I'm the one who's free. I'm not acknowledging anything. I'm just acknowledging that I want out.
I like the metaphor and it works straight away in my head. So thank you for that. You did say in your answer previously that people say to forgive, but they don't necessarily tell you how to forgive. So have you got
Correct.
any clarification on that?
In my book, and I have a bunch of worksheets and all sorts of stuff in there for you, but I'm going to have you write a list of 1 to 10, with 10 being unforgivable and 1 being easy. And I want you to write down the people, places, and things. I said places and things. Stay with me. The people, places, and things that you're angry about. Could from childhood to present day, your parents, your best friend, whatever. Then I want you to number all these people from 1 to 10. Now remember, you could have 3 number 9s, you could have 5 4s, it doesn't matter. Anything's fine. And then what I want you to do is I want you to start with the number 1s, the easy ones. The kid in grade school who tripped you in the hall, you can forgive that person. The person that just cut you off on aisle 5 of the grocery store, you got that shopping cart road rage, you can forgive that person. The person that stole your sandwich out of the office refrigerator. Okay, I hope you can forgive that person. You might be holding a little resentment. Maybe they do it all the time. But you can forgive these people. It's easy. And as you start to forgive, you're going to start to feel better. Because remember the glass of anger, it's going to start tipping a little bit, and you're going to start to pay attention to other things beside the anger. You're going to notice things. You might notice a new job opportunity. Why didn't you notice it before? Because you were too focused on the anger. You might notice a new way to lose weight. There's a reason to buy the book. You might lose some weight. There you go. You might get some more money. Why? Because you're paying attention. You're noticing things around you. Your dream significant other might come in. A real new treatment for cancer because you're sick might come in. You're paying attention now. And people are going to come up to you and say, Thomas, something's new about you. Is that a new outfit? What have you done? Did you lose some weight recently? You look so good because you've started to forgive. And as you
I
get
like
into
that.
the higher numbers, then it's really going to take off. But please only do like 10 at a time because this is powerful stuff. When I first came up with this method, this is true. I am an overachiever, evidence why I've written so many books. And I wrote down all the people, places, and things, and I'm gonna circle back and explain that in a minute. I, I must have written down 60 names. And I thought, this is going to be great. It's going to be like a band-aid. I'm going to rip it off. I'm going to forgive everybody all at once. I'm going to wake up a brand new person. I did it before I went to sleep. This is going to be great. So I sat there using my own method and I forgave all of them. Some of them stayed, some of them I was still angry at, but I knocked off quite a few. I spent the next 3 days in bed with what everybody thought was a stomach flu. It was not the stomach flu. It was my body's way of getting rid of the anger, and I forgave too many people. I have science to back it up. Naysayers, I can hear you now. In one of the chapters, there was a study done by, I really try and say this gentleman's name, and I always trip over it. I want to say Masumoto. I think that's how you say it. It was a Japanese researcher who studied water. And you can Google it, it's right online. And I'm dumbing this down seriously. He took 2 containers of water. One container of water, he said beautiful things, told it he loved it, treated it really well. This is true. The other container of water, he said negative things. He yelled at it, he swore at it, he cursed at it, he did awful things. Then he put it under a microscope. The water he put under a microscope that he did negative things to had these black and brown formations in them, and it was nasty. The water he spoke love to had the opposite, beautiful formations. So why am I telling you this? Your body is 98% water. So when people say anger is toxic, this is actually what they're talking about. Your bad self-talk and the negativity and the anger and the bitterness is literally changing the water molecules in your body. And when you forgive, your body is going to get rid of those water molecules either through sleep, because you heal yourself during sleep. You might cough, you might get really thirsty, you might be in the bathroom for a little bit to be delicate about it. But it's going to change your life, 100%.
So your take on what was going on within you in regards to forgiving all those people, it was the getting rid of that
Mhm.
feeling, or perhaps manifesting it all at the same time. What would you say your theory is there?
My theory is when you forgive, your body has been storing that anger energy inside your body for could be decades, especially if it's something your parents did when you were a kid or a bully in school. It could be anything. And your body has to get rid of that negative energy. Sometimes it leaves very peacefully. Sometimes because you've held it for so long and it's such a dark, deep-seated number 10 level person, it might leave a little more loudly. You have not ate a piece of bad fish. It's just your body trying to cleanse itself of all the anger, of all the toxins.
And if you don't cleanse yourself, what would you say in your view is perhaps possible or more likely to happen?
Probably get sick. I'm a cancer survivor. I have been breast cancer free for 12 years. Did my anger make me sick? Possibly. Yeah. I mean, you're going to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. You'll probably get every Tom, Dick, and Harry virus that comes down the pike, because I know I did. And once I forgave, and I truly forgave, my posture got better. Not kidding. I started to look at the world a little different. Instead of the glass half empty, it was a kind of glass half full, to use a very overused expression that drives me crazy, but it's true. And my shoulders felt lighter and I started to pick out joy. Happiness. I started to do things that I actually like to do. You see, there's a question that I ask a lot of people, and I say, what brings you joy? And it would horrify you if I told you 8 out of 10 people I ask that question to can't answer my question. They don't know. And that's scary. They don't know what brings them joy and happiness. They're just kind of robotically getting through life. But what if you didn't have to get through life robotically? What if you could be the person that you were always meant to be? Happy, prosperous. What would happen? Well, that's a scary thought because for many people, including myself, I became my story. I'm a survivor of alcoholism. I'm a survivor of suicide. I got through all this dysfunctional. Look at me. I'm going to speak about it. No disrespect to speakers who talk about it. I'm going to hear this is me. It's my mantra. It's fuels my hate, fuels me. It's why I get up in the morning. Okay, I'll give you that. It's what fuels you. But love will get you farther than hate. Wouldn't you like to go even farther? Wouldn't you like to be even more prosperous? Wouldn't you like to be happy and filled with joy? Love will get you farther than hate and
So
faster.
what brings you joy?
What brings me joy? I legitimately love to tell people about what we discovered with this new method of forgiveness. I legitimately like to leave people better than I find them, and I've been doing it all my life. I mean, that's what brings me joy is seeing people's lights being turned on, so to speak. I really love watching people become the person that they were always meant to be. That's what fuels my fire.
Great answer. Um, and yeah, I can see how that would bring you joy. I think probably given the context of everything you said so far, I think I know what the answer is. But there's one on your profile about is there anything that is unforgivable?
Probably. Yeah. Yes, there are things that are unforgivable. And here's where the places and things comes in. Let's say you have an unforgivable memory. We won't even call it what it is because it's unforgivable. Somebody did something to you and it's absolutely unforgivable. Catherine, I can't forgive them. I won't. It's not right. That's fair. Let's forgive other things within the memory. Remember, Einstein said there's energy around everything, including inanimate objects. So let's forgive the other things in the memory. Let's forgive the energy around the building, the table, the chair. Let's forgive the energy around the people that stood around and didn't help you. Let's forgive those people. Let's forgive other things within the memory. And as you forgive, let's forgive yourself. Aha! Start there. Well, I still can't forgive. Okay, why don't we forgive yourself for not being able to forgive? Just start with that. Just that one little sentence. But there's always other things within that memory you can forgive. I forgave my childhood bully. I was badly bullied in school. But for a while, I couldn't forgive the bully, but I forgave other things in the memory. I forgave the playground. I forgave the desk that I had to sit in at school. I forgave the building and the energy around the building. And that started to kind of move the energy a little bit so I wasn't quite as angry. Still was angry, but not quite as bad. This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. You're not going to get a number 10 unforgivable person down to a 1. It's going to take a minute. It's like an onion. You're going to peel back the layers of that memory and you'll probably find some new ones. So it's going to take a minute to get that 10 down, which is why I want you to start with the ones. So forgiving other things within the memory will help move the dial. Now, do you have to forgive the actual person? No, you do not. It's like running into a brick wall. And every motivate I'm really disrespecting motivational speakers. I don't mean to, but everybody is talks about that brick wall, and we have to blast through the brick wall. And here are the tools to get through the brick wall. Okay, stop. Why don't we just take a few bricks out of the wall, walk around it, and circle back later if you can. If you can't circle back to forgive the person, just keep on going. It's fine. Some things are truly unforgivable. It's
You
fine.
touched on something quite interesting there because my perspective for this conversation, for whatever reason, has been around forgiving other people. And you
Right.
mentioned about the fact that in some cases it's going to be about forgiving yourself. And I think
Mhm.
people are perhaps harder on themselves than they are on other people. So does
They are.
anything change when you're talking about forgiving yourself?
The method is the same. If you are the one that needs to be forgiven and you can't forgive yourself for some reason, forgive other parts of whatever memory you're beating yourself up for. Forgive the table, the bed, the chair, your siblings. Forgive other things within the memory and try again in a week. Remember, the person you were yesterday or prior is not who you are today. You had to create that person to survive. And that's what you had to do to survive whatever you were going through. You're not that person today. So in the way I forgave myself for things, because I'm only human, I forgave myself for things. And it was like I was forgiving another Catherine. It was another person. Because if I'm forgiving myself for something I did in high school and college, I kind of was another person back then. I'm 63 now. So I was another person. And is it crazy that a 60-something-year-old woman is getting upset over something that happened in the 19, never mind what year it was? Hmm. Yes, it's kind of nuts. But your past, it trips you up. Your family, it's a lot of family stuff I've noticed with people who come to me for help. It's usually family members who are tripping them up in the past. And because we can't pick our family members, right? We can kick friends to the curb, but family is family. And I've found that they're very hard to forgive. And I've discovered that yourself is very hard to forgive. But if you treat it as another memory in using the method, eventually you'll get there.
I was going to ask you about, stuff that you perhaps happened as a child and you're carrying it with you, and then when you reflect on it, you're like, it's not remotely rational to be to carry that around with me now because it's, if it was a child that did something to you when you were a child, it
Mhm.
makes no sense
No, it
to
doesn't.
be thinking about
But
that now. But have you got any thoughts about, I don't know, your conclusions on that in terms of, what does it make you think about in regards to this type of work?
things that you carry from childhood is directly affecting your relationships, your job. It directly reflects your life now because it's all these memories. It's like a movie playing in the back of your head and you don't know it's playing. And it's just back there quietly running the movie and you don't know it's there and it's affecting every part of your life and you don't even know it. So by forgiving, and some people don't want to go back to their toxic past. That's fair. I didn't either. But I'm only asking you to go back one more time, clear all those memories so you can be rid of them once and for all. Now here's another one. What if you have a family member and you're trying to forgive a particular family member, but maybe your sibling or somebody has nice memories about this person. So they're looking at you saying, you must have made this up. I don't know why you have this attitude. Okay, with all due respect, I don't care about your family member. Not even a lick. I care about you. And you're the one that had the memory. And you're the one I'm going to believe. And whether it's real or not real, I really don't care. It's real to you, and that needs to be forgiven. So you could toss it forever. It's like going to an American, let's say Christmas. So you're in the UK, let's say Christmas, and you know you're going to be sitting next to Aunt Martha. And you know what Aunt Martha's going to say. You know what she's going to do. She's one of those negative Nelly kind of people. You've asked your parents not to sit you next to Martha, and yet every year, there you are, sitting next to Aunt Martha. So forgiving Aunt Martha before you go to the party, is that going to help? Yeah, it is. It's not going to help Aunt Martha, who she is. She's still going to be spitting out whatever she spits out, right? But it's going to help you because you're going to go in there having forgiven Aunt Martha and the energy around Aunt Martha. I mean, you might even make it a drinking game. Every time she spits out something, you just take a drink. There you go. You're gonna look at it a little bit differently. You're gonna probably look at it with a little bit of humor. You're gonna probably look at it with a little bit more love. I am not a religious person by any sense, but there is a passage in the Bible that got me to forgive my parents. Um, Jesus is nailed up on the cross and he says, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." What I think he meant by that is if you're in the fifth grade, I can't get mad at you if you don't know trigonometry. You haven't learned it yet. So my parents did the best they could with the tools they had at the time. Aunt Martha's doing the best she can with the tools she currently has at the time. Is it good enough? Absolutely not. But they did the best they could. And that combined with some Simone Biles level gymnastics in my head, I managed to forgive. And they're out of my head now because at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want it out of your head so you can concentrate on other things for a while. And you
I
want to
like
stop
the
getting sick all the time.
yeah, I really like the thinking about things in the future that you may have to forgive people for, because there's
Mhm.
probably an element of taking away, I don't know, some stress that might come with that.
Right.
So I think that's a very useful tool. Have you ever, based on your book and these types of conversations, have you had people come back to you about how this has changed their lives in any way or made it better, for example?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it has changed people's lives. I've had people get new jobs. I've had people who couldn't forgive their parents and couldn't get out of it for years. All of a sudden they're kind of at peace about it. I've had a lot of divorced people come up and say, I don't hate him anymore. I don't like him. Don't want a relationship with him, but I don't hate him anymore. But it's a process. A lot of these, if you're trying to forgive somebody who's a level 7 or above, it's hard. You might get your 7 down to a 6 and then maybe down to a 5, or you'll be forgiving somebody and you think they're a level 4. And after you forgive them and you check in with your body to see you're still angry, you're actually at a level 8 now. It did the opposite. That happens because you're forgiving memories. And somebody came up to me once and said, it didn't work. Yeah, it did. You just forgave the first layer of memories. There's probably 100 layers underneath that. And as you forgive the first layer, other memories that your brain has locked away is going to probably come out. So it's a process. It's going to take a minute. But I've seen some serious changes in people. They feel, and while one of my clients, who's a federal law enforcement officer, said he felt lighter. He's a cop, and he said he felt lighter and more engaged and was able to do his job better. He slept better. He says he just feels clearer. His head feels clearer. And since he's a cop, I would imagine we want their heads to be clear.
Yeah, I am 100% sold on on everything you've said. I would imagine if you're going up the numbers as you've explained, sort of like the
Mhm.
sevens, eights, and at worst case tens, I would imagine that's a difficult process, but worthwhile, I guess.
It is painful. It is painful. But remember, I did say this was powerful stuff, and this is going to stretch your brain just a little bit. I apologize ahead of time. It will not hurt too much. I was forgiving a level 1 person, somebody I went to grammar school with. So I sat down easy. Couldn't, it was so many years ago. We're talking decades here. I didn't even remember what we were angry about. So it was an easy person for me to forgive. And my method is a simple mantra. You don't have to jump up and down. You don't need crystals unless you want them. You don't have to burn any incense unless you want to. If that's what floats your boat, that works for me. It's just a simple poem. And I imagine that the person standing in front of me in my mind's eye, and I say what I want to say. If I'm angry at them, sometimes I'll let them have it verbally. And then I'll say my forgiveness mantra and I'll imagine that they walk out of the room. That's how I do it. Very simple poem. So I did it for this person. She and I hadn't talked in decades. It's a true story. 2 hours later, she calls me up on the phone. Almost had a heart attack. Literally almost fell out of my chair. So we made all the right noises and the appropriate words, and we forgave each other and reminisced and did all the things that people do. But I'm a curious little bear, Thomas, and I said, I have to know. Why did you call me today of all days after all these years? She said, it's the darndest thing. A figurine you gave me 2 hours ago, which was when I was saying the mantra by you, flew off my shelf and landed in the middle of my floor, and I figured I should give you a call. We were 700 miles away. So if a forgiveness energy has the power to change the molecules in your body and move a freaking figurine on magically onto the floor, imagine what the higher numbers are going to do for your body and your sense of self. Imagine what it will do for the higher numbers. This is serious stuff. It's also like the law of gravity. It'll work whether you believe it or not. I can call the law of gravity the law of keeping Thomas Green on the planet. It doesn't care. It's going to work anyways. I don't believe in the law of gravity. Doesn't care. Still going to work. This is going to work, whether you feel anything or not. And if you don't feel anything, it's probably just because you need to make more passes. Now, how do I know the person is forgiven? Well, I feel energy come out of my solar plexus, which is kind of like in the middle of my stomach, roughly. And my son, my older son, said he felt his shoulders were lighter. And he said it was weird, but his somehow his shoulders felt lighter. So pay attention when you're forgiving part of your body, you might feel movement or pressure somewhere. That's your indication that maybe it worked. The real way you're going to figure it out is if you go online and you see the person's name, it doesn't spark a reaction. There's no emotional reaction. You can go online and look at one of your childhood bullies and you won't care. Last week you went online and you saw one of them broke their leg and you were kind of happy about it. Oh, karma, you say to yourself. Oh, they deserved that. You say to yourself. It's not nice, but we do it, right? Don't lie. Everybody does it. But now you can go on to that same thing and you don't care. You don't feel good. You don't feel bad. You literally don't care. You could stare at that name to the end of time and no reaction. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for neutrality.
I love the information and the topic, and I think you do a great job of explaining it. Um, in terms of the book, firstly, congratulations on that book and many others that you said you've done. Who should buy it most of all?
Everybody? Um, the book is literally targeted to everybody, and I also understand that not everybody likes to read, so I do have the audiobook available as well as the ebook and the paperback on Amazon. But I have a client who read the book, loved the book, wanted her mother or father, one of her parents to read the book, and she said, "I know she's not going to forgive." I said, "What'd you do?" She said, "I left it on her coffee table." I said, "Did it help?" She said, "No, it's still on the coffee table, but it makes me feel better. Know that maybe mom will pick it up. You can leave a horse to water, you can't make it drink." But she tried. But yeah, it's
Well,
everything's available on Amazon or my website.
I am that person who needs the audiobook, so I appreciate the work on that one. For people who want to buy the book, where do they go?
They can go to Amazon or they can go to my website. And thanks to my mother, my first name is spelled a little odd. Thanks, Mom. Katharine, CatharineGiovanni.com.
And do you have any closing thoughts for us today?
The only closing thought I have is to say that you've got this. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You can get through something like this. Whoever ever you're thinking of right now, and you're all thinking of your number 10s because everybody does, there's a way out of that hell. You can live your life and forgive them and still be able to do it. And for the women listening, this is only a woman thing for some reason. You are worthy enough to live the life that you want. I promise.
I think you've provided great value today, and I've loved listening to you, Catherine. Thank you for being a great guest.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.